Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and it's big news around many targets for Manchester United tonight. There is some good news, but in some sense it goes from bad to worse. Big updates coming in about Gyokeres, but I want to start off about this Chelsea deal for João Pedro, because what I don't understand is how Chelsea can go from Saturday lunchtime not being in for João Pedro to Sunday evening signing him for the same price we're trying to negotiate for 5 weeks with Bryan Mbeumo and Brentford. It's bloody embarrassing. I would just say to the start, whoever's going to try and make this positive and say, we've got to wait till July the 1st. We've got to wait till July the 1st. We've got to wait till July the 1st. No one else is waiting till July the 1st, are they? Everybody else is doing 3 or 4 deals before July the 1st. It's incredibly incompetent. And I just want to say at the start, I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose it. We can still rescue this transfer window. But answer me this question. If you're relaxed and you're calm, maybe someone from Man United's watching. Maybe some of you United fans are calm and relaxed. Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal and Chelsea finished top 4 last year. And Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal and Man City are the top 4 clubs in the transfer window at the moment. There's a correlation there. There's a big correlation there. But my question is, what was the plan for Man United? Like, all I want to know is, what was the plan? Because all we heard from Berardo was, on the Asia tour, we're relaxed. We've got a plan. We've been planning this summer transfer window for a long time. What the fuck were you planning? I would love to know what you've been planning for the last 3 months, because this, mate, is absolutely incredible. If you were planning to sign Bryan Mbeumo for 3 months, I would have thought that part of that planning would have been to speak to fucking Brentford and start figuring out what they want. If you were planning this summer transfer window for 3 months, I would have thought you might have an idea of who the striker is you're going to go for. If you were planning this transfer window for the last 3 months, I would have thought you'd have figured out that Antony might not want to go and you can't buy a goalkeeper. I call bullshit. That's what I call. I call absolute bullshit from the very head of this football club again. Because you've got to listen to what they've actually said. And this is what's worrying me tonight. What they actually said is, we've been planning this summer transfer window for ages. We've got a plan and we're going to follow it through. Have you bollocks got a plan? This is terrible. This is not a plan. You sat there 5 weeks later after starting talks with Brentford and you still can't agree a fee. 5 weeks later. Chelsea bought bloody Pedro in 5 hours. 5 weeks we're still negotiating. What are you negotiating about as well? Bryan Mbeumo's a better player than João Pedro. They're paying the same bloody price. What are you actually negotiating? Who are you fighting against? What is it you're trying to prove? Well, we don't think Bryan Mbeumo's actually worth 60 million. Look at the bloody market, you bunch of prats. Bournemouth wants 70 million for Semenyo. You paid 62 million for Cunha. João Pedro's going to Chelsea for 55 million. Of course his bloody price is 60 million. What world are you... I bloody hope you're not using Transfer Market, because anyone with a brain knows that Transfer Market is 50% lower than the reality. You can't be using Transfer Market for the bloody value of Bryan Mbeumo. In fact, I'm going to go on there now. I guarantee you this is what they're doing. Bryan Mbeumo. Here we go. No, it's not here we go. It's not here we go. Don't clip me up on that. That people will go mad. It's not Mbeumo. Here we go. What I'm saying is, what have they got his value on Transfer Market? Market value details. Yeah, they've got him valued on Transfer Market at £45 million. This is what United do. They go on Transfer Market. Transfer Market has always been shit for Premier League transfer fees. Predictions. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, look, yeah, we've got a lot to get into on the show tonight, but we're starting off with that because I think it's, as much as we can, and we always turn it into banter on here because I think you've got to laugh if you don't want to cry. It's embarrassing though, isn't it? I'd love somebody to come on in the comments and try and explain to me what the plan was. and how you are justifying this situation. Because to be negotiating on Brian Mbeumo for 5 weeks and still not have it done when Chelsea can do a deal in 24 hours is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. It's incompetent. And you know what? They can put a dress on it. They can put perfume on it. They can put lipstick on it. They can put a pair of shoes on it. They can put a wig on it. They can do whatever they want. But you are shit at transfers, Manchester United. You are absolutely shit. You've been shit for a decade and you are still shit. And you can pretend, you can pontificate to us all you like. You can stand up on your high horse and say, we're not, we know best. But the problem is, you don't run a dictatorship. You operate in a world where there's plenty of other teams and most of them operate way better than you, and they expose you every time Chelsea does a deal like that, or Liverpool do a deal like that, or, you know, not just the top 4. There'll be other clubs doing better deals. For whatever United want to put out there about being relaxed and calm, the fact is you're terrible at transfer negotiations. Absolutely terrible. And I think Mbeumo will sign, and we shouldn't walk away from that. I think we might walk away from the Gyokeres deal based on the updates this afternoon. We won't walk away from the Mbeumo deal. But again, I remember saying this about Harry Maguire. We negotiated for 7 weeks on Maguire and still broke the British transfer record for a British centre-back and paid £80 million. We've negotiated all this time with Brentford and we're going to pay exactly what they wanted on day 1 on probably something like day 50. And that can never be okay. That can never be okay. Scott Treacher says, chill out, lots going on behind the scenes. That's the problem, mate. What's the plan? Scott, you know, we've had this debate a couple of times in the last few days now. What's the plan? Can you tell me, Scott, what the plan was that Barada was talking about 2 months ago when he said we've been planning this summer transfer window for months? What plan was it? Because, you know, planning, it's not a bloody post-it note with let's sign Mbeumo. Planning a transfer window. You know why Frimpong went to Liverpool so quick? Do you know why Wirtz went to Liverpool quite quick? Do you know why Man City got Cherky quite quick? You know why they got Rangers quite quick and Al-Nouri quite quick? Because they didn't turn up in June and say, do you fancy doing a deal? These deals started probably maybe in February, maybe in March, maybe in April, maybe May, but not in bloody June. And United clearly haven't been in contact with Brentford before June. So how can Barada sit there and say, we've been planning this transfer window for months? Mate, planning a Premier League high-level transfer window is not sitting in a room in March with a big list and going, 5 from that 30 will do. It's actually speaking to the player and the club and starting negotiating before fucking June. And we haven't done that. It's very obvious who's the striker. The goalkeeper's nowhere to be bloody seen. We're still negotiating with Brentford. That's all I'm saying. We can still have a good transfer window. I don't think we'll get a very good pre-season, but we can still have a good summer transfer window. But I'm calling out the bullshit. Our CEO sat there and said we've been planning this summer transfer window for months. Where's the evidence of that? If we've been planning this for months, why are we sat there negotiating with clubs? Why are we sat here waiting to see if a player's going to go somewhere else? We haven't planned this very well, have we? That's my point. I bet the board is not into BDSM because they seem to love getting bent over. No, I bet they are into it, says Brandon. It happens every year. Carry on like this, you'll have a heart attack, Mark, says Scott. Hi, Mark. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Super Turbo Pratt, Mark Hargreaves. Been here since day one. He has to go. The Glazers like him, though, says Lee Cape Town. You're very disrespectful to our glorious CEO, Mark, says 1 Inch Wonder. I just want him to do a good job. Mario Franco says, but we've just convinced 14-year-old JJ Gabriel to stay. I actually think that's a massive positive. I was going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But look, this is what life is all about, isn't it? Just because you're a bit annoyed doesn't mean that there can't be some positives. This lad, JJ Gabriel, is 14. I think he's already played for the under-18s. Every top club in the world wants him. There was really a thought that he was going to go. So if we're keeping him at Manchester United, I mean, look, just because we keep him for another year or two doesn't mean we keep him here when he's 16, 17. But many people are saying he could be one of the best players in the world. So it is a positive, but he is 14. It's going to be probably at least 2 or 3, 4 years before we see him anywhere near the first team. But a very exciting player and a real positive, and I'm not going to say it's not. Emmanuel, welcome to the Members Club. We're going to talk about Gyokeres next. Mike JW says, I'm angry. I thought Ineos promised change, and it's exactly the same as before. Walking around like a bad smell, just do it. Look, I want Berardi to do a good job. I want Wilcox to do a good job. He's obviously done a good job with JJ Gabriel, getting him to sign. But they need to be called out. You don't just say, I'm going to do a good job, and everyone goes, let him do a good job. Let's leave him alone. You know, give him time. Give him time. We're back in 1989. Like, when Omar Berardi stands there and says, we've been planning this summer transfer window for months, we were positive. We were like, ooh, let's see what the plan is. They've obviously had to tweak the plan because we didn't win the Europa League. But remember, Ruben Amorim sat there and said, we've got a plan for winning the Europa League, and we've got another plan if we don't win the Europa League. And then Berardi, on that end of season tour, said, we've been planning this transfer window for months. Go back and read these words that these people said. Now, 5 weeks later, do you feel like they've got a plan? And that's all I'm saying to you tonight. What was the plan? Because the plan doesn't make any sense at all. The plan to me looks like we haven't got a plan. The plan looks like we'd like to buy a goalkeeper, but Anana's in charge. We can't get rid of him. We'd like to buy a striker, but we don't know who because we've got to wait on everybody else. We'd like to sign Mbeumo, but Brentford are basically twisting our balls and we'll see where it goes. There doesn't seem to be anything beyond Cunha, which I agree was well executed. We started that in April and we negotiated it with Wolves through May. But the rest of the plan, let me put it another way. After losing the Europa League final to Spurs, I don't think we have a plan. It doesn't feel like we have a plan B at all. Cunha was coming anyway. That was going to happen anyway. But post losing the Europa League final, it feels like the plan wasn't that advanced. Mike says he's angry. So Jim said A-class, but men F-class, says Anders. Glazers and Ineos out. What have Ineos actually improved, says Harry T. Chelsea got Pedro done in a day, and for cheaper than Mbeumo, what have we been doing for a month? Look, that's from Josh. What I want to say is we can still have a good summer transfer window. I'm not sat here saying it's the end of our transfer window, everything's bad, etc., etc. What I'm saying is the world can be red and green. Angry and positive. Toxic positivity, toxic negativity. But the world is actually amber. It's everything in between. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be optimistic. Signing JJ Gabriel is really optimistic. Signing Cunha is optimistic. We will sign Mbeumo, that's optimistic. But we can also ask questions in a negative fashion in relation to, this is embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. What was the plan you spoke about? Because we can't see that plan. We clearly started negotiating with Brentford in June. There was no previous conversation in April or May, was there? Why? Why were we not talking to Brentford in April and May negotiating a deal? The same way Liverpool were doing with Leverkusen for Frimpong and Wirtz. The same way Chelsea have been doing, obviously, with other people. Or, if you're not going to start negotiating with clubs in June, why don't you do it quicker? Like Chelsea have done with Pedro. Get it done in a couple of days. It's very obvious that we could have been better prepared for this summer transfer window by starting to talk to clubs in May or April. And it's also more pertinent and obvious that you can get a deal done in 2 days. You can go from Newcastle are bidding for Pedro and Chelsea aren't in the race to Chelsea go, we want him, and 24 hours later you've got him. Why do we take 5 weeks to do deals that some people can do in 2 days? And these are all valid questions. And you can be sat there going, another negative show, this, that, and the other. I still think we can have a good summer transfer window, but the questions need to be asked. Why is it so slow? Why can other clubs operate far superior and far quicker to us? And I think they're valid questions. And, you know, United are definitely going to sit there and say, we're calm and relaxed, but you're also incompetent. Do you think the Embarrassment delay was intentional, says Ricardo? Look, there are some people talking about stuff they don't understand. Like, I read not talking about Mike Keegan, by the way, but I've read some people saying that it's very obvious that we're waiting to announce this on July the 1st because of PSR and the new financial year. Interestingly enough, Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail wrote today, expect a lot of business to start happening on July the 1st. A lot of clubs are waiting for the new financial year. But you don't have to do that. When you've got a lot of business to do, you don't have to wait until July the 1st. You can negotiate deals, get a here we go, and then officially announce it on July the 1st. Some clubs do that. I don't know whether Chelsea are putting João Pedro in before July the 1st or after July the 1st. Are they putting it on this financial year or next financial year? Are they putting Delap on this financial year or next financial year? People think because you get a here we go or an Ornstein drop in June that the clubs are signing them in June. They might not be signing them until... We might not be signing Cunha until July. We might not be doing the first payment till July. So all this talk about, oh, do you think we'll wait until July the 1st? That didn't ever stop us being able to have a here we go 2 weeks ago. That didn't stop us having a here we go a month ago. July the 1st is just when you make your first payment if you want the money to go in the next financial year. It doesn't stop you having a deal agreed and a here we go. Do you think the Embarrassment delay was intentional? No, I don't, unless we just don't want to pay his wages. I've answered this already, but anything in the rumours of approaching Ivan Toney? I've heard nothing, Chris. Absolutely nothing, to be honest with you on that. Emily Derry says, I reckon we are so underprepared on Embarrassment because we expected to have Delap in and then we're going to sell to buy for Embarrassment, says Emily. Yeah, well, there's still some people out there. Let's talk about the striker situation because there has been some big updates on Gyokeres, and I do want to ask the question, and I am going to put a poll out for this, whether we should walk away. Because there is some valid points to be made here. Should we walk away from Gyokeres? Let's get that there. But Emily makes a great point. There are some people out there that want to dispute the information that we had before anybody else that Man United were absolutely prioritising Liam Delap. I think we said this in April. They thought they'd won the race. They have an obsession with Chelsea and they thought they'd won the race and he was their priority. And some people said, well, we didn't sign Delap, so your information's terrible. Doesn't mean he wasn't the priority. I never wanted Delap, so saying that he's the priority and that we thought we got him doesn't make any sense unless it's from a proper source, because I never wanted him. I wanted Gyokeres. I wanted Osimhen. So I was actually, wouldn't want to put that out there. I think we did think we had Delap. I really think we did think we had Delap. I think we probably thought he was going to come. And for whatever reason, maybe it was the Champions League that made him go to Chelsea. But I think we did think that we had that done. I think we were absolutely ecstatic about doing a deal like that because he's so cheap. And I think it's messed us up a bit, to be honest. And it's scary that he was our priority as a striker, but it's very obvious that he was because the reaction to missing out on Delap has been pitiful in relation to a striker. A 23-year-old just went for 60 million, yet United paying 62.5 million for a 27-year-old, and it's still not enough. Brentford are also to blame here, says E. Brentford are not to blame. Brentford are not to blame. Brentford put a price tag of £60 million onto Mbeumo from day one, and they were never going to negotiate down. If you don't want to pay it, you walk away on day one. You don't waste your time talking to somebody who's not going to change it. Do you think the when we'll hear the Wilcox Summer Madness shout, says Mario Frinco? Jim is obsessed with Chelsea, says Josh. Maybe you should look at how quickly they do deals. Mike JW says, sorry, I'm calling this out. We need accountability, and these clowns in charge are not accountable. They spout nonsense, and here we are still, says Mike. The big frustration is they're going to mess up the pre-season. They're going to mess up pre-season because we're not going to have the players in we need. We're back. Wilcox at the wheel, says One Inch Wonder. JJ Gabriel. No one talking about squad of kids. Kone, says Scott Treacher. It's clear Man United are selling for the new financial year. It's slow business. Least they can do is have deals lined up and ready to go, says John. Thank you very much for that. So let me talk to you about Gyokeres and why some people are saying maybe we should be walking away. So some big updates have actually come in today, also from the Sporting president, but it's really messy. Really, really messy. So Sporting president has said, Sporting don't need to sell Gyokeres. Fortunately, we've passed the stage of having to do that, selling our most important assets. We still respect the dreams of Victor or any other player though. Sporting have an understanding after weeks of meetings that they are not demanding the value of the release clause, but rather it will be reasonable. I won't say what the price is, the player knows it. What I can say is that Gyokeres will not go for 60 million plus 10 million euros in add-ons. He will not leave, he simply will not. So they're doubling down on that. They won't want the release clause, which I think is like 100 million euros or something like that. But he will not be going for what he thinks he's going for, which is 60 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons. That will not happen. Romano has said, following Sporting's president quotes, Gyokeres has basically said he's got no intention of coming back to Sporting and he will not play for them again. He's already informed the club about that, and he insists that the pact made last year over the exit should still stand, and he feels betrayed and tired. So basically, you have a standoff there, and that, to me, suggests that this Gyokeres deal is going to take a long time. And that's without our Prats getting involved. I mean, Man United on their own would say, hold my beer, we'll make this deal last 2 months. But Sporting and Gyokeres are not on the same page. And they're basically at loggerheads. So that deal is a bloody nightmare to try and do. Then United wander into town, who love to mess deals up. And I just think it might not be a bad idea to walk away and just start with something that's more easy. I don't know what that would be, but I sort of understand why a lot of people are saying walk away from that deal. He wants Arsenal. He's in an absolute dispute with Sporting, and Man United are shit at deals. I mean, even if we started today, we might not get it done before August the 31st. So, I've got to admit, the ingredients of that deal, as per this afternoon updates, are not great. Sporting's president is basically saying they don't need to sell, and whilst they won't demand the release clause, they're not honouring what Gyokeres thinks was agreed. And then Gyokeres is saying, I want them to honour what was agreed, and I'm not playing for them again. So you just don't have the components there for an easy deal to be done. But I wouldn't walk away. And there's that, it's like the sixth sense, and there's the, everyone's going to drop their mouth now and go, what were you saying all that for? I said all that because there's a lot of people out there in this chat and on social media saying we've got to walk away. The ingredients of that deal are terrible. I still wouldn't walk away. I still wouldn't walk away because if he doesn't go to Arsenal, he's got to leave. It might play into our hands. He's got so much on his bloody plate at the moment with Sporting. We've got a good relationship with Sporting. We wander in like the saviour and say, come here, Gyokeres. I understand. It's bloody horrible, isn't it? We'll show them. Don't you worry about that. And you go to Sporting and you go, what a shit. What an absolute shit. I tell you what, we'll take him off your hands because you want to get him done. And then that's what I would do that. I think there's an opportunity for us to walk in here and solve the problem. The only problem is I don't think we've got the negotiators to do it. But I think Arsenal are going to steer clear of this now. I think Arsenal are going to go, we wanted Sesko anyway. We're not getting involved in that shit. And that gives us an opportunity to walk in and go, you can't go to Chelsea. They've sorted out their strikers. You can't go to Arsenal. They've sorted out their strikers. You can't go to Liverpool. They're not looking for you. And nobody wants to go to Newcastle. So Man United is your best option in the Premier League. Here we go. So I would still try and do it, but I do agree with people who are saying walk away. I don't agree with you, but I do understand why people are saying walk away because that deal stinks. It's very, very messy. Somebody in the chat has just said about Calvert-Lewin. I mean, I don't want to worry people, but this is legit. This is legitimate news. He's a free agent, officially a free agent. He's also a player that United have looked at twice since Ineos have came in. So, look, I can't sit here and say it's impossible. But what I would say is, if we sign Calvert-Lewin, I don't know. Everybody should go to prison on that board for crimes for football. But like your mum and dad breaking up, and then you sat in the living room and your mum comes home with Philip Schofield and says, here's your new dad. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? I've got a big list of why this can't happen. Yeah, it can't happen. But it could happen. It could happen. Yeah, it can't happen. It just absolutely cannot happen. He is... I mean, look, forget whether he's good enough. He's always bloody injured. Gyokeres' deal is like Antony, just don't overplay, says Ross McRae Magician. Hope you're doing well. Calvert-Lewin on a free to challenge Rasmus, says Bread. I mean, I hope you're taking the piss. Polford says, if not Gyokeres, who? I mean, Osimhen's not picked his club yet, has he? I mean, I do wonder on Osimhen. I mean, all I know about Man United and Osimhen is that we have spoken to his agent on numerous occasions. And we've sort of said, look, if you want, you've got to say you want Man United. You've got to make your mind up that you want Man United. And only at that point can we try and get you from Napoli. But we can't be in for you when you're playing us against everybody else, which you are at the moment. So Man United have made it very clear that Osimhen's got to say, I want United. And then they'll try and see if it's possible. He hasn't said that. But where is Osimhen going? Beyond Saudi or Galatasaray, I can't see a destination. I can't see where he's going to go. I don't know whether PSG would try, but there's not a Premier League club. Arsenal aren't going to go there. Chelsea aren't going to go there now. I always thought he was perfect for Chelsea, actually. Newcastle aren't going to go there. Liverpool won't go there. I can't see a Premier League club for him. So he would have to say, I want Man United. I mean, look, if we can end up with a Gyokeres or an Osimhen from this point, I think we'd be ecstatic, wouldn't we? United's dressing room doesn't need Gyokeres, Mark. I think it absolutely does, Theo. I think I disagree with you. I think Man United exactly need a selfish, experienced striker. I do. I absolutely do. I think that team is begging for a selfish striker, really, to start telling everybody to stop fucking shooting and putting the ball in the box. I think we're crying out for that type of a striker. Strikers are selfish. Like, they're not going to be the most popular people in the dressing room. Strikers are going to be selfish. The margin for errors in their plan is non-existent. The whole plan depended on selling players we don't want, and because we pleaded poverty publicly, we have no bargaining position whatsoever, says Chuff Bridge. I mean, it's a blast from the past, mate. I love the name. You know I do. But you make a really good point. I mean, we were talking this morning about devaluing players by speaking about them badly publicly. But I think that can be levelled at managers. What can be levelled at Ineos and the Glazers is that on multiple occasions in the last 12 months, there has been articles from The Athletic, from David Ornstein, I think even from Romano, talking about everybody's for sale. Like, nobody's not for sale. How does that help a football club sell when you basically let the world know everybody's for sale? If I wake up tomorrow, God, I hope I do. No, but if I wake up tomorrow and I go into the office and somebody says, you know the shop across the road that you like that's got those nice cars in it, well, everything's for sale. They'll listen to any offer. Straight away, I'm going to go, they're in financial trouble. If everything's for sale, they're in financial trouble. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to negotiate something really good for myself because I know I'm not paying full price. United have allowed that to be out there. Is that inexperience? Is it naivety? Is it stupid? That has been going on for 12 months. Everybody's for sale. Man United will listen to offers for anybody. That doesn't put you in a strong position when you're trying to sell players. I'm calm on Mbermo. Gyokeres won't happen till August, says Andy. As I've said to you before, I'll love to get proved wrong. We ain't taking a new striker on the tour. What'll happen on tour is, and you can bookmark this, we won't buy a striker for the tour. We'll go on the tour. Xerxes or Rasmus or Cunha or Mbermo will play up front and score a few goals. And people will say we don't need a striker. We'll start the season. We'll realise we did need a striker. And everyone will lose their shit. Timmy Boy says, so close, Mark, yesterday, but yet so far. You want to check them sources? Go on, read this, says Timmy. I don't even know what that means, Timmy. You got to give more clarity than that. Ruben wanted Delap at Sporting, went for Gyokeres instead, says E. See the Sun say we are pivoting to Ivan Toney. That's come out of nowhere. No, Smoggy, that's come out of the Sun's arse. I mean, when has the Sun ever been good at transfers? Come on. Would Brentford be delaying because they want to sign a replacement? They signed Kelleher after selling their goalkeeper. Devil's advocate thinking, says Sid. Mate, there's no delay going on. There's no delay on Mbeumo because United want to wait till July. And there's no delay on Mbeumo because Brentford want to buy a replacement. They have rejected both of our bids. The delay is because we haven't offered them something they want to accept. And all the conspiracies in games don't prevent that. Get Andy Carroll on a free, says Brian. Marco says, I've just seen we've sent a bid out for Leao from Milan. Where have you read this, mate? Absolute bollocks. I can see Rasmus and Xerxes being our strikers next season due to the fact that we can't get rid of either of them, just like the goalkeeper. And that would be a crime, Abraham. I like Xerxes, I like Rasmus, but we need a striker. Like, we've needed a striker for 2 years. And in the last 2 years, we bought Rasmus and Xerxes, but we need a striker. Like, an experienced striker is what we need. We know who's going to be striker. I've got a bad feeling about Calvert-Lewin, says Dan. If we buy Calvert-Lewin, I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, it'd just be incredibly thick. Chris Judge says, might have answered this already, but anything in the rumours of approaching Ivan Toney? We've done that one. Thank you very much for Chris. Why not sign Darwin Nunez, says Nims. Even if we wanted to sign Darwin Nunez, you're trying to sell him for £70 million. Joe Wright says, if you're skint, you play it safe and walk away from the table and get Mbeumo on a free, but let him know you're still interested, says Joe Wright. Stanley says, I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. Big shout out to the South Africans watching. Not sure why we keep paying crazy wages, and when we try and sell, no one wants them. Crazy business from the past CEO. Jason says, Gyokeres is perfect. He knows the system and can drop in any time. Like other strikers, a top-class striker will score anywhere. I wouldn't walk away. I wouldn't walk away. I've always said, give me Gyokeres or Osimhen. I'd be absolutely ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. We've got nearly 19,000 people watching tonight. Very proud of that because the Sunday night show on the United Stand was actually our flagship show. We used to do one show a week when we very first started off, and it was 8 o'clock. So great to see so many numbers. Make sure you subscribe, get involved, and share. I understand not wanting Gyokeres, says Montez, but signing him could be the difference between Champions League football and no Champions League football. Thank you very much. Calvert-Lewin is poo, but he's better than Rasmus, as 1 Inch Wonder. Mate, do you want me to just tell you, I don't give a toss about, like, Calvert-Lewin positivity, but I don't even think he's that good. I don't personally think he's that good at football, but he's very good at doing, like, GQ magazine and, you know, wearing modern clothes for modelling. But the big thing to say about Calvert-Lewin is his injury record. His injury record is the only thing you need to know. And I will get it up for you here now. Oh, God, why can't I type today? Calvert-Lewin injury history. Here we go. So, it's mad. So, from January to May, he was out with a hamstring injury. January to May. Before that, he also had an ankle injury. The amount of game, it's incredible. The list is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Just as a note, by the way, I don't know how old he is, Calvert-Lewin. He's 28, right? And he's only just 28, yeah? Since 2022, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hamstring injuries. And the last one, it was 100 days. The one before that, it was 32 days. The one before that was 76 days. The one before that was 54 days. The one before that was 20 days. And the one before that was 10 days. So his hamstring injuries are factually ridiculous and longer every time he gets one. You don't go near that. Regardless of whether you like the fact that he's cheap, regardless of whether you think he's a good player, the guy has literally got breadstick hamstrings. You don't go anywhere near that. Never. Never. I wouldn't even advise bloody Sunderland to go near that. If Sunderland could keep Calvert-Lewin fit for 75% of their season, he might score him a few goals and help them stay up. But he won't be fit, mate. He's not going to be fit. He hasn't run his contract down either. Everton don't actually want to keep him. He's the Luke Shaw of strikers, says Alias. We're talking about signings, but we haven't sorted the unwanted players like Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho. I don't want to talk about them, Mohammed. It's a very valid point, but we don't want to go. We don't want to do that. 5 memberships have just been gifted in the chat from Mr. Polford. Thank you very much for that, mate. You're an absolute gentleman and a legend. I appreciate that. I'm watching you from India. Hope you're doing well. Let us know where you're watching from. Sidak already has. Wouldn't shock me if Ineos striker solution would be to bring Agallo back, says Ilya. Matthew Gore, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for all our members with the badges on, like Stuart Esp and Kiss My Swingers. Love that. Thank you very much for all your support. If you have got your badge in, like Jason Langton, he says Gyokeres is perfect. Okay, right, let me just have a look if we've got any other news I wanted to talk about on the show tonight. I mean, just some Italian reports talking about Vlahovic saying that he actually doesn't plan to leave Juventus this season. He's into the last year of his contract. I mean, how many players are doing this now? How many players are actually just running their contracts down now? It's incredible, isn't it? You used to look at a player with 1 or 2 years left on his contract and you'd think, oh, we can do a deal there. But apparently... he's not interested in coming. I don't think we've ever been in for Gyokeres anyway. I think it's more of a fan thing. I didn't read this. Stefan Borson, who's a financial football expert, spoke a lot about Man City. He said that it's a big problem for Man City. It's a big problem for Man United if it's true he only wants Betis. This is Antony. I suspect it's not true. I suspect the reality is that there's just not that much interest in him. The problem that Man United have got with Antony is that they simply are not going to have the money to pay anywhere near what United need with Betis, even to break even on the deal. They might be able to pay his wages. Apparently he's on reasonable wages, although I find that slightly harder to believe as well. But let's assume that's true and he's okay on wages. They just can handle that. It still doesn't deal with the fact that they've got the problem and what they can afford. So even Antony is... Look, I don't know how true that is, but it's an interesting point. I think that... Well, it says it as the title, bad to worse. We're basically talking bad to worse because the Gyokeres deal looks like a bloody nightmare because Sporting and him are falling out. We're still negotiating with Brentford 5 weeks later when Chelsea have gone and done a deal in 5 hours for João Pedro for the same price and Brian Mbeumo's better than him. Explain that one. But on top of that, bad to worse, obviously we're very aware of how bad it is with Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho, and there doesn't seem to be a prospect of selling any of them at the moment. But Antony actually had a really good loan deal. But we might not be able to do a deal. We might have to loan him again because we can't sell Antony to Betis as a favour and they can't afford what we need. So I think we need, somebody in the chat will know. Actually, I will do this for you. What is the book value of Antony? Antony's book value, meaning the value on Man United's balance sheet, is currently around 34 million. This is calculated by amortising his 85 million transfer fee over the length of his 5-year contract. After 3 years of contract, the remaining value is 34.2 million. We're not going to get that, are we? We're not going to get that. So that's a problem. That's a problem. He's Ken says we could get 34 million, not from Betis. Not from Betis. We won't get 30 million from Betis and his wages covered. Why should Antony, with 2 years left on his contract, on 200 grand a week, take a pay cut? So even the most simple of deals becomes problematic. We need 34 million pounds from somebody, and then they then need to be able to pay Antony 200 grand a week. So this could be a problem. It's not a problem if we loan him, but it's a problem if we sell him, because we can't sell him for 20 because this club will not take a loss on the books. They won't do it. And if nobody's willing to give us 34 million and pay him 200 grand a week, he ain't going anywhere. So I can see, I'm with you, interesting vids. I think we could be looking at another loan deal. The question is, would you loan him to Betis? I'd rather loan him to a better club, to be honest. I think at Betis, can they replicate what they did last year? I'd rather he was playing for a team like Atletico Madrid, where he's more in the public eye. But you could do a loan with a compulsion to buy, says Bibby. But yeah, we're going to have to get creative on that deal for Antony. Mohammed, great point. Stanley Thomas, thank you very much. Mike Chris, one of our members, says it's sad, just sad seeing Chelsea complete a great transfer in days, and we can't. Well, I think days is generous, Mike. It's 24 hours really. We can't even get Mbeumo deal done for a month, and we are alone in this race as well. It's incredible. Let me just refresh this here. Yeah, interesting on Antony though. Obviously, we'll have to just see what happens with that. Do you think things are going to happen this week? Yeah, definitely. I think things will happen this week that will at least lead to conversations for us to be discussing, because I think at some point Arsenal are going to choose their striker, and then that will cause a big reaction, whether it happens or not, around who we're going to go for as a striker. I think Mbeumo is going to have to happen in the next week, because we can't just keep. It's embarrassing. I think surely Sir Jim Radcliffe or somebody is saying it's embarrassing what Chelsea have just done. They're paying exactly the same as what Brentford are asking for Mbeumo, and he's a better player. And also they've done it in basically 24 hours. So surely that's a kick up the arse for Man United this week as well. Glenn C says Rasmus hasn't actually had a full pre-season United yet. We shouldn't underestimate the fact that could have impacted him. Worth seeing how he does, says Glenn. Also, hello Mark, says Bear, hope you're doing well. How about Son from Spurs, says Breadbasket? I don't think that will happen, mate, to be honest with you. Yeah. Not so sure about that one. I feel we are PSR okay, but physical cash poor. We can do deals PSR wise, but can't because we've got no physical cash, says Bin Stock. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. If you're Delap right now, what are you thinking, says Chance? I think he probably went to Chelsea with his eye... Oh, because they bought Pedro. Yeah, I think he went to Chelsea with his eyes wide open, if we're being completely honest. And, obviously there's going to be competition for places there. Mark, for the 5th time, Mbeumo and Gyokeres nailed on, says Scott. João Pedro is not a great signing, average at best, says Rub. I quite like him. I wouldn't take him at Man United, but I do think he's a decent player. Andy Weatherall was gifted a membership as well. Do you think Cunha and Antony could be a good partnership? Or is Antony done, says Paul? What, the one-footed the one-footed winger is now going to play in our system? No, he's done. He's done. Amrim had a look at Antony and he said no. Apparently Romano's just done another video, but it's the same old stuff about confident of getting the Mbeumo deal done. Yeah, I mean, I look, at least we as a fan base for Man United can be, expletive and passionate, and we're coming from a fan's point of view. I think sometimes we should just realise how hard it is for Fabrizio Romano for twice a day for the last 5 weeks to try and sound optimistic about an Mbeumo deal and give us an update, which is always pretty much the same. Confident we're going to get it done. Don't know when we're going to get it done, but talks are ongoing. They're still ongoing. Yeah, I bet he's as desperate for a here we go as much as we are. And I'm sure we'll get it at some point. But, it's been a long time coming. I've just read this as well. Brian Mbeumo, breaking, has told Brentford he wants to join Man United and a deal is expected. That was actually from today. Ben Jacobs has said that Chelsea are paying Brighton £55 million with £5 million in add-ons. Now, I'm sorry, Brian Mbeumo is better. So, us paying 60 million, and we're not having our pants pulled down. And also, we finished 15th in the league and we're desperate. And we can't offer Champions League football. So, we should have just paid the bloody money from the start and then moved on. Apparently, Arsenal are now linked to Ekitike, according to Sport Build, who aren't the best. They're not the best, to be honest with you. Okay, so I've just been told to check a couple of things out here. Good question, Smithy. Is Gyokeres the most likely signing for Manchester United? Look, some people have been very persistent in this particular chat group about what I said pretty much before anybody else. On that Sunday, 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, the tweet has not been deleted. It's still there. I saw something, which I've already told what it was. I got told by somebody very prominent in the football world that Gyokeres to Manchester United was red hot. So, yes, Gyokeres is Manchester United's priority as a striker. Absolutely. 100%. He is United's striker priority. But doesn't mean he's not going to Arsenal. So we're definitely in for him. I remember that week, I think it was Andy Mitten saying on Sky, I've not heard anything from anyone that we're in for Gyokeres. Well, that's fine, but we are in for Gyokeres. We were in for Gyokeres, and we are trying to sign Gyokeres. But doesn't mean we're going to get him. We wanted Delap before that, and we didn't get him. It doesn't mean that Gyokeres isn't our priority. Just doesn't mean we're going to get him. But at this moment in time, we're certainly not looking at anybody else. I wonder if Delap knew about João Pedro, says Matthew. You'd have to be a bloody idiot to sign for Chelsea and think that you're going to solve their problems as Liam Delap. Like, they were always going to get somebody else, competition for places. He would just back himself, wouldn't he? Darko says, if we sold Bruno, we wouldn't have a problem now, and Man Utd could have finally started, says Darko. GGMU says, don't see any difference in players joining Saudi or United these days. They are here just for cash and wait for the contracts. Jones, Mata, Sancho, Lindelof, Eriksson, Di Maria and Lukaku, only exception. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Matt, says, it's so funny how Chelsea signs quality players and it's like, I don't know if it's going to work, but City and Liverpool do it and it's like they're going to go miles ahead of everyone, says Matt. But, well, I don't know whether... Is that funny? I mean, Liverpool and Arsenal's pedigree above Chelsea is very different, isn't it? The profile of players that they're bringing in is different as well. And they've had different seasons to Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea buy players who are 23 or under. That's what they do. We're not here to talk about Liverpool and Arsenal, but Liverpool and Arsenal have different strategies, I suppose, don't they? Just going back to what we were talking about there, Fabrizio Romano has just put something out about Gyokeres and Sporting, saying it's a war. There's a war going on between those two. Is that a war we want to get involved in? I don't know about that. I still would. I still think United would. And, people forget about Gyokeres, that this is a player that Ruben Amorim absolutely adores as well. And I think, as somebody quite rightly said before, the difference between having an Osimhen and a Gyokeres and not having them could be the difference between finishing fifth. I mean, we're going to have to rely... I mean, look, I'm not putting this in fifth place, but fifth place could put you in the Champions League if we get 5 places again. Yeah, I think Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City have got top 4 on the lockdown. But I don't know who's getting 5th place. Newcastle probably would be favourites, but they've got to play in the Champions League and they can't buy anybody. Aston Villa, don't know what they're doing in the market at the moment. Spurs could have a better season under Thomas Frank. Brighton have just sold João Pedro. So I think 5th place is up for grabs, but United have got to be aggressive in the window and they've got to be ready to go. We ain't going to get 5th place if we start the season badly and we don't have a good pre-season. T says, could Chelsea be in a title race next season? I mean, I did this on That's Football. I don't think so. I think they're too young. Are there more feathers or toenails on Earth, says Bear. Feathers. Who do you think we will easily feathers? Easily feathers. Ricardo says, who do you think will actually sell/loan? I mean, I think this is a great question. You can all answer this. Who do you think will sell and who do you think will loan? I think Rashford goes on loan. I think Sancho goes on loan. I think Antony goes on loan. I think Garnacho gets sold. I think Malacia goes on loan. So I think the only player we're going to sell for money is Garnacho, and I think all the others will go on loan. And that isn't enough, is it, to fill our transfer budget? But I can't see a fee coming in for Sancho. And remember, even if we get a fee for Sancho, it's probably break-even fee. I can't see Rashford going anywhere. I can't see Antony. I can't see us achieving 34 million. And no one wants Malacia. And I can't see us selling Onana. So the positives of this window will be Mbeumo, Cunha and maybe a striker. The negatives of this window will be the inability to sell players, the inability to renovate the midfield, and the crime of not replacing the goalkeeper. I can see a transfer... Look, if you're asking me what I think this transfer window is going to throw up, we will not have a striker on the tour. I'm boring myself saying that, but it needs to be said. We will not have a striker on the US tour. We're not prepared at all. We won't have one. We have got Cunha. We will get Mbeumo. I think we will get a striker. Can't see us buying a midfielder because we haven't got rid of anyone. Can't see us buying a centre-back because we haven't got rid of anyone. Can't see us getting a goalkeeper because we haven't got rid of Onana. So the positives will be the front three. The negatives will be the neglection of everywhere else. You know what? I actually think for a manager that's all about wide players, we haven't really done enough there either. I know Lyon's coming in this week. Dorgu came in January, but I genuinely do not think that for a manager that is massively about wide players, I don't think we've brought anybody in other than Dorgu that's ready to go. And Dorgu's not really ready to go, is he? He's a kid. Please, Eric, sign Onana as a ball boy, says Carlo. Dan says, it will be same old United on transfers till full sale. Someone told me Joel Glazer used to be the person to sign off £300 broken laptops at United's IT department. Well, probably is, to be fair. JJ says, I can't wait to get Calvert-Lewin on August the 31st. Thank you very much for that. Just want an end to the shambles of a window, says Bounty Hunter. It's funny, actually. That actually did come into my head over this weekend that although there's still so much left of this transfer window, I'm actually looking forward to pre-season and the start of the season, because I'd rather just get on with it now. I sort of fell into the trap that we had been planning this transfer window for months and we were prepared, and we're very clearly not. And it's getting to a point now where it's just Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's the same as every other bloody window, where we're waiting to sell players we can't sell. We aren't getting players in quickly enough. We're not going to be ready for pre-season. And we're not even sorting out areas of the pitch that are absolutely essential. I mean, to think you can start the season with an Arna again is just criminal in a footballing sense. Absolutely criminal. And I'll tell you what else is criminal as well in a footballing sense. Doing what we're going to do with this US tour again, it's just going to be PR. This is not going to be a pre-season tour where we're learning how to play under Amorim, because he's literally going to be going there with Antony and Rashford and Sancho, and he's not going to have a striker or a new goalkeeper. So what are we doing in pre-season if we aren't solving the problems? I mean, look, we had our worst ever Premier League season, and we lost the Europa League final that most of us still haven't got over because it was absolutely terrible. And our response to that is to do very little. Like, all those players that were shit in that final, most of them are going to start for us against Arsenal. I mean, where's the accountability? Where's the anger? Where's the leadership to go, we've got lots to do here? Oh, no, let's just pretty much keep the same squad. Not good enough. Not good enough by a long way. And we're running out of time to change it. I was thinking to be the only one who have a feeling we'll end up with Ndidi and Calvert-Lewin. I hope it won't happen, says Desiree. I know you don't know, but when is the 115 outcome? It's almost like they're waiting for the transfer window to end, says Smoggy. I mean, look, we're not here to talk about City, but even if they did get in trouble now, they've done all their business, haven't they? Thank you very much for that. Dan says it will be the same every time with United on transfers till we get a full sale. Thank you very much for that. Well, look, we're still Glazer owned. I think people forget that sometimes. We are still a Glazer football club. Shit things will happen when you've got the Glazers in charge. Right. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate that. I wish Cavani was 25 years of age. He feel he was a decent striker, says Yelex. Yeah. Yeah. Same with Zlatan, isn't it? Yeah. But there is a positive. JJ Gabriel, at 14 years of age, looks like a very special talent. And the fact that it sounds like we're going to be keeping him, I think is a massive, massive problem. So it's not a massive problem. It's a massive, massive positive, definitely. Thank you everybody for watching. Look, we are back at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I genuinely hope that I'm back at 10:30 tonight reacting to Brian and Burmo. Here we go. I don't think it'll happen, but at some point, we need to get this party started, and hopefully it's going to be this week. Absolute legends as normal. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. And as always, there's always a little bit at the end. Yeah, what am I going to do now? Sunday night, isn't it? I've got to start. Sunday night, isn't it? You know, there's things you have to do on a Sunday night that just annoy me. Like, you know, set the alarm clock earlier. Make sure you don't stay up too late so you're not tired because you've got to get up and do things. You know. I'll tell you what I am going to watch, though. I'm going to watch the last episode of season 1 of The Gold, which I'm absolutely loving. So I'm going to watch that tonight. And I think I am going to start The Sopranos, John, actually. Watched the film last night called Warfare. I don't know what's going on with that. Has anyone seen that film? It's on Amazon Prime at the moment. It's called Warfare. It's a 2025 film. You go online and everybody says 5 stars. What a brilliant film. It really encapsulates the realism of warfare. Mate, I'm watching it for it's only a 90-minute film. I'm watching it for 40 minutes and I'm like, what? Why are they there? What's the relationship between each other? what's actually happening. And it was okay. I'd probably give it 3 stars out of 5. I went and read the reviews because I thought I'd watched the wrong film. And everyone's going 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I just was like, for me, it was okay. And obviously the fact that it's based on real life makes it more interesting, I suppose. But it's not on my recommendation list. Band of Brothers is brilliant. The Departed is brilliant. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with that. There's one that's got the guy out of The Office in it. Where they're stuck in this building, surrounded. War film. Jim from The Office is in it. Really good film. If you want to watch a film like that. Fury's good as well. Somebody in the chat will know the film I'm talking about. Pacific was really good as well. Masters of the Air was very good. All those are very, very good. But 126 Hours, I think that's what it was called. I'd recommend that. I think if I've remembered that, I'm a genius. 127 Hours. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's about bloody the mountain climber who got his arm stuck under a rock. Don't watch that. That's horrible. Oh, he cuts his own arm off. Jim from The Office. Jim Halpert is called John Krasinski, and he has been in films. Oh, it's called 100. Mate, I was miles out. It's called 13 Hours. 13 Hours. Rotten Tomatoes only gave it 51%. I thought it was actually quite good. Don't live your life on that. I quite enjoyed it. I'll tell you what's a good film. Lone Survivor with Wahlberg. That is a brilliant film. I think I've seen The Outpost. Yeah, we're talking war films here. The Outpost. Oh yeah, I have seen that. It's got yeah, that's very, very good. That is very good. Orlando Bloom's in it a little bit. 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, very, very good. Have you ever watched Breaking Bad? Does a bear shit in the woods? Of course I bloody have. Although I haven't seen Sopranos, so you know, there we go. I've watched Midway. I thought that was okay. I watched one with Greyhound with, you know, like you have like Amazon. I mean, this makes me really angry. You know, like really makes me angry, right? I pay Amazon an amount of money every month, and now they put ads on their films. You're taking the piss. You're taking the piss. I pay you a subscription so I don't have to watch ads, and now they're putting ads in. But, you know, like you get Amazon, Netflix, Apple TV, etc., Disney. On Apple TV, there's a really good film with Tom Hanks called Greyhound. Again, it's only 90 minutes, but it's really intense. And it's about World War II. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Hacksaw Ridge is very good as well. Nicky Booth, you're right. You're right. But I would recommend that Outpost one, if you haven't seen it. Really, really good. Thanks everyone for watching. Somebody's watching the Club World Cup. Shame on you. I've given up again. I can't be doing with it. Absolute waste of time. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We're back in the morning. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.